back.
Back at it. Weeks 11 and 12, recapping training towards Boston, and we're closing in. Feeling good.
Yeah, the countdown begins. We got our passports yesterday.
Yeah, we got our passports to go to Massachusetts.
It made it real. We got like our bib number.
Yep. So
I'm like 17,000 something.
You're not that. Are you
was.
17,000?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means.
Well,
but
they do it by like seating, but you're in wave 2, and there's 3 waves, I believe. So you're
in the
definitely
middle.
Yeah, you're in the middle. So that's cool. But yeah, we got the passports, so we are literally, it's like 20 days out, 21 days out from departing.
Yep.
So getting pretty excited. People around us getting excited for us, and to tell you the truth, training couldn't have been better so far.
Yeah. I've struggled a little bit, but I finally feel like this week, especially after yesterday's run, it just gave me a big confidence boost. That was good because I actually felt good the whole way. So
yeah, that always helps.
That helps a lot mentally.
Especially this late in the game too, because now we're gonna start to play, head games. Have you done enough? Are you ready? I'm just happy the Open is finally over. I mean, we had a ton of fun at CTF, but it's just been tough, kind of balancing training and wanting to participate in the Open as well.
Yeah, yesterday, just watching, the workout was 14.5, was burpees and thrusters, and I finished it in 14 seconds, so I decided to just
crushed it.
I crushed it.
You,
just
destroyed it. I think everyone was speechless when you finished.
It's like, what was your time? 14 seconds.
We did that a couple times, though. What we're doing at CTF is we've had the intramural open, so we've scaled the workouts, beginner, scaled, and then the prescribed workouts that have been released by CrossFit HQ. So you get points for participation. So we're at least racking in the participation points.
That's right.
Even on weeks we can't do it. But yeah, topics for today. We wanted to talk about flexibility with training, and then what was the other topic?
Nutrition testing.
Nutrition testing, key.
Yeah.
Critical. I have a lot of my remote athletes doing that right now as well.
Yeah, it's super important to do because that can make or break your race.
What do you think's like important to test? I mean, obviously you want to test food, you want to test water, but like, how would you describe how someone should go about their testing?
I'd say, you want to start it as early as possible, as early as it makes sense, and then finding the food that you want to use. Where are you going to carry your water? If you're relying on the course, that's great, but when you're actually out there running, you don't have setups for you unless...
You mean in training?
In training, yeah. Because when you're on a course, it's like every 2 miles you've got a water station, whereas you go out there and you do a really long, 2 hours you're running.
And we don't go over 2 hours, but yeah, 2 hours you need some hydration there.
Yeah, you need some hydration, so you want to make sure that you have it on you. And then electrolytes, I think, is another big one. So that's one that kind of gets, I think, a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, people don't know about it.
Yeah, but more and more people are, at the end of the race, it's like, oh, there's people in the tents, either hypo or hypernatremia, which is really dangerous either way. So you want to make sure your electrolyte balance is as good as you can be. So practicing it in that 2-hour-long run is crucial.
Yeah, basically if you don't have enough sodium or enough magnesium and the proper electrolytes in your body, your system just flushes out that hydration and you basically bonk.
Yeah. Like if you can taste the salt on your face, like as you're sweating, you should be, hopefully, you have to be taking in some sort of electrolyte.
Yeah.
And you have to even think about it ahead of time. Kind of like with the fuel and the food and the gels or whatever you're using, if you start to feel like crap, it's
always too late.
Like you want to just stay ahead of the game.
And this is what happens a lot with athletes is they train so hard, they get to race day, training went perfectly, and then they screw up the nutrition. And Boston 2012, for example, I raced there. It was one of the hottest years ever. 84, 85 degrees, I think, at race start, and it got hotter as we went. Completely flushed out my body of sodium, ran like a 3:30 marathon. It was probably my worst performance I've ever done in an endurance sport, but it was all electrolyte based.
One thing, where salt goes, water goes. So if you have too much salt leaving your body, too much water's leaving your body. If you have too much salt that you're intaking, you've got almost, you could potentially overhydrate. So it's definitely
that's definitely tougher to do.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to do.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's this is typically the reason someone could potentially die from an endurance event. It's not their heart wasn't strong enough, or they didn't put the necessary volume in. It was typically a nutrition or electrolyte issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the test went well yesterday?
Test went well. I felt really good. I started out with, I had 3 gels on me. I ended up using 2. And then I had, and gels work really well for me. I've tried the jelly things. What are they? The
jelly beans?
Not the jelly beans. I'm going
goo?
brain dead. The goo. The chomps. And they get stuck in my teeth, and I'm just like, ugh. So they.
What do you like? Can you? Okay. She's like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't like them, so I like the gels work great. They're easy to pack. And then I had this goo brew, which is kind of like just this electrolyte enhancement that you can just add to water. And I had one of those out there. Probably should have done one more. So
yeah.
That and Salt Stick, which is a really nice product.
Salt Stick's key. I mean, it's we really teach our athletes just separate it in 3 sources.
Yeah.
Because it's like, some athletes think they're getting electrolytes because they're drinking Gatorade, but that's not necessarily giving you the proper balance.
It's not a ton, and Gatorade for some people can just be too much sugar, and then you get this crazy GI.
Yeah. That's
just not fun. So the Salt Sticks just make it easy, so you can separate literally electrolytes, water, food, calories.
Yeah, and don't forget your calories out there, especially if you're doing an Ironman competition. It's not the day, guys. It's not the day. Eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like some people think it's their strength. They think they didn't train hard enough. It's like you didn't practice a nutrition plan, or you felt good the first 12 miles, and then I was feeling really good, and I didn't think I needed anything.
Yeah.
I hear that often.
All the time. And you can tell this by their splits. You can tell by what happens to their pacing. Is you just don't fall off the bus, for any old reason. It's almost 99 out of 100 the nutrition.
Yeah. So make sure you're practicing it.
Testing.
And finding the things that are going to work for you, and then stick with it. Because once you've got it, then, it makes all of your racing for the rest of your career a lot easier.
Yeah, we were talking about this a while ago. Since Lindsay's known me, I've never really had a bad race, and that's because it took a few crappy races for me to really settle in and know what works for my body, and for me at different distances.
Yeah. So some of the stories of bonking, I'm like, I just can't even picture it for him anymore, because he's just stout in what he's got to do for him, which is great.
Yeah. So other thoughts, just to wrap up, testing nutrition is definitely do it about 3 to 4 weeks out. Closer to the race, I say that, especially if your race is in the same environment, because then the temperatures are going to be about the same. We'll do sweat rate tests where you weigh yourself before and after, and then we can do some more advanced calculations on how much exactly hydration you need and electrolytes.
So ounces per, every 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just the nitty gritty.
Yeah, and that's a good point, is we break everything up to about 20-minute blocks, because you plan it out in 20-minute blocks. You start your entire plan from the beginning of that race.
Yeah.
But yeah, test it, pretty close. Your pace should be about the same that it's going to be on race day. I'm going to be going out tomorrow doing my last final test, because I unfortunately did go through 14.5. It was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did well. I'd say another thing about the testing, and I think this is from a mental standpoint, when you get the nutrition down mentally, it's such a huge relief, and it just, when you actually step up on race day, cross that line, it's like, all right, cool. I've got the plan. I know what I should do. I know what I have to do. And,
Yeah.
There's some things that are out of your control, but that's something you can control.
Yeah, control the controllables. And we talked about this before in previous podcasts. I mean, nutrition's a big part of what we've been discussing this whole training cycle, not only on race day, but from a performance perspective. What you do on a daily basis is going to dictate your overall performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, last topic for today, I wanted to discuss a little bit about flexibility with your training, because you know, you hear athletes making up runs or making up training days, or not having enough time. Like, guys, preach to the choir. I mean, we all don't have enough time. You know, everyone's got busy lives. But for me personally, my training's been all over the place. I think every day I've been, you know, doing my training at a different time of day. So there's really no consistency in the time, but there's still consistency in the training. Mm-hmm. Have you found anything that's worked well for you when you've gotten busy?
I'd say a big thing that's helped me a lot is logging. And kind of seeing what a week at a glance on what it needs to be, so that, okay, today didn't have enough time. All right, well then how am I going to rework this so that I still get my rest days, but I still get in what I need to get?
Good point.
And I think logging has really helped, just kind of like, okay, here's the plan for the week. I got to make this work.
Yeah, it helps, and then you can be flexible with that plan. Like, I wanted to get a bike in and still get a swim in during my training, and I've been able to do that and just kind of push around some different stuff. But it's, you know, it's more those critical days. You know, make sure you get those critical days in, like the strength. Like, I'm big on getting that max effort back squat and deadlift in right now, because our cycles changed a little bit leading up to the race.
Yeah. So, and I know a big thing that's definitely opened my eyes is like just communicating where I work, because I teach a couple fitness classes a week, and fitness director just had, you know, a very simple conversation, and she completely understood that teaching the treading classes 2 times a week probably is not helping my training.
Help our efforts.
You know, 3 weeks leading up to Boston, so we've cut those out, which is very helpful from a recovery standpoint. Yeah. Because I'll do like my runs in the morning, and then not ideal, but I have to teach a fitness class at 9:30 a.m.
Or you sometimes run into doing your strength and then go right into an aerobic effort.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this with our athletes, always a 3+ hour window, if not more, if you can do it, because just strength development, it's these 2 separate entities that we don't want to
And I might feel okay and feel okay walking into that class, but then I know by the end of the week I just feel way more tired than what I used to when I wasn't teaching those classes.
Yeah, and I remember, like, I used to teach a lot of classes like that, like a ton. And I mean, my training's only gotten better, I think, since, you know, doing a little bit less on the, you know, the work side of things, having to move a little less. Not that I'm not on my feet all day, but just not as strenuous.
Yeah. But I think a big thing with just like the flexibility is, you know, also looking at, okay, when do I have the most energy? And because I know in the mornings I have the most energy, so I'm going to try my hardest to make sure if that's getting up 30 minutes earlier, it's getting up 30 minutes earlier, because at the end of the day, probably
not happening, and the quality's really not there as much. And I've run into that a few times. I mean, I've been up, you know, training folks from 5 a.m. to like 3 in the afternoon. You're already tired, and then I'm hitting that training run at 4 p.m. and it's just not the same as it would be like in the morning. But, you know, that's the life of a coach, and that's the life of, you know, someone who's busy, and that's the protocol we're teaching, is you can still train for these awesome events, have a killer time, incredible experience, and it doesn't have to be, you know, 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is good talk this week.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I actually let Lindsay do a little more talking, so that's good. Cool, so we will see you guys back very soon. We're 3 weeks out. This was podcast weeks 11 and 12.
Maybe we should bring this to Boston.
We're going to bring this to Boston.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find a really cool spot to put it.
We'll take you to the expo.
Ooh, yeah, we should take the expo a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
When we have our passports, so we can get into the expo.
I hope they don't think it's like some weird contraption and they take it away from you.
Oh, true. Yeah. We'll see. Stay tuned for details. Thanks for tuning in. Jeff Ford, endurance coach at CTF. Lindsay Martin, Hilton Head Health dietitian. We'll see you guys back for another podcast real soon.
Yep. Bye.